Welcome all. Atma Namaste. Today we'll talk about a very beautiful topic, pregnancy, and I've mentioned it as Garbha Raksha, Garbha Graha. Garbha Graha means a sanctum sanctorium, which is deep inside of a temple. So I always consider my body as the temple and the soul as the God. So Garbha Graha, a pregnancy and a childbirth from within, uh, a maternal point of view, what kind of changes a maternal body undergoes in terms of physical health, mental wellness, emotional well-being. It's a huge transition. Definitely it is not a disease, it's a very beautiful evolutionary phase for any woman. So physical health, mental wellness, and emotional well-being, it's like you connect the body, mind, and soul. All together, you get a very peaceful and very calm outcome when you're able to align all these three together. And we can also discuss about what kind of practices were followed by our ancestors, what kind of practices we can follow in the current situation, and how you can take care of your nutrition and lifestyle to support your pregnancy, how you prepare your body to birth. If you ask me if you need to prepare to birth your baby, yes, you definitely have to prepare yourself in all possible ways, physically, mentally, and emotionally, to birth your baby. The golden period of birth, you be aware of how you birth your baby, what is happening inside of you, the process that is happening inside of you, and Prasava Raksha. Prasava Raksha is about protection of the birth, that is the first 3 months of the postpartum period. So that is about today's session, the Garbha Graha. I hope you will all enjoy this session. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comment box. We'll be sharing the takeaway notes after the session on our WhatsApp group. If you're not part of the WhatsApp group, please do join the group. So, the physical health, mental health, emotional health, all these three complement with each other. Okay, so with regards to physical health, there is nothing specific or special about what you have to do during your pregnancy. You don't have to run, you don't have to be an athlete, you don't have to have all gym enrollments. That is not physical fitness. Just don't consider as a disease and don't have a sedentary lifestyle, because I've personally seen a lot of women, the moment they are pregnant, the caregivers say you have to take complete bed rest. There's a lot of fear associated with pregnancy. You should not move, you should not travel, you should not take auto. There are so many restrictions for a woman. So I don't think all that is actually required. You be as active as possible. I'll give you a small example. If you live in an apartment where you are on the second floor, you've been climbing the floor every day. But the moment you get to know you're pregnant, you start getting that fear. Can I climb stairs? The only difference you have to make is you will climb the stairs. But if you've been doing it, if you've been climbing the stairs to reach your apartment for 10 minutes, in your pregnancy, listen to your body, take it a little slow, and you will climb the stairs in 12 to 15 minutes. That is the change that is expected from a woman. Okay? So the mental health and emotional well-being are also a very important part of a pregnancy, because if you know everything about swimming, you know how to swim, you don't know how to swim, but you are very fit enough to swim. It doesn't make any point if you're stuck in the middle of a lake, right? So you should know how to swim, you should prepare your body to swim. Okay, every first time is a very beautiful experience, but when you have it in the second time, it gives a totally different perspective to any task that you do. So be as active as possible till how you were before, and walk at least 1 hour every day You don't have to walk at a stretch for 1 hour or 1.5 hours, 10,000 steps, 3,000 steps. No, take just 15 to 20 minutes walk, mindful walk post every meal. Mindful walk means you don't listen to any songs. Your focus is on what you do. That is how it is. So if you keep plugging into any songs and keep walking, your focus is not on your walk. You either concentrate on the song and the walk. So you have mindful walk. If you are able to walk barefoot in a non-man-made floor, it is very helpful during not only during pregnancy, even in your everyday life. If you are able to spend 10 to 15 minutes on a non-man-made floor, it's very helpful to get rid of all the toxins, because you connect with the earth, right? So understanding the maternal changes in the body, what your body, you don't have to be a science student or a biology student to understand what is happening in your body. Just like eyes, nose, mouth, ears, the reproductive system is part of you. It's a very beautiful part of you. If you are a person who can meditate, or you are able to connect with your deeper parts of the body when you meditate, when you just sit with yourself. Meditate doesn't mean very spiritual meditation, just calm sitting with yourself. You will be able to realize what is happening inside you. Just like you drink cold water, you are able to understand how it travels, right? That chillness will travel throughout. It is similar to that. So you will be able to shift your focus to that reproductive system. For most of the women, it is their safe place. We call it as a safe place, because when nothing else is working, you just sit with yourself. You'll have one place to go inside of you. That is your reproductive system. It's a very beautifully creation. It is such a beautiful creation from God. So keeping yourself calm and focused during pregnancy, it's like you may be a stay-at-home mom, you may be a part-time working mother or a full-time working mother. Take support from your family, from your employers. Ask them like how flexible you can be with your timings. There's nothing wrong to ask. Most of the women, they hesitate to go and ask for support. That is the main issue. So go ask for support. Tell them you have certain discomforts. Express yourself. So ask them what kind of flexible timings can be possible for you. So that will help you stay calm and focused. So you don't give either of it as a reason to not take care of the other. For example, you're pregnant and you're working, a full-time working mom. You don't have to give pregnancy as a reason to get rid of your work, or you don't have to reason your work to get not focus on your pregnancy. Both will go together. This has happened at a particular time because there is a lot of energy in you that can drive both of them together, right? So you don't have to let go of one to take care of the other. So when you stay calm and focused, you know what you want. When you are very calm, you understand what you want. So questioning yourself and find answers, what kind of what is happening within you. You can keep questioning yourself and you will be able to find very beautiful answers. And preparing yourself for parenthood, you need to create a support system for yourself. In today's world, it's very fast moving. I will not tell you don't have any information. The issue is you have so much of information and you don't know which will be suitable for you, which you want to take and which you don't want. There are a lot of confusing factors. We'll look into it. So we'll go to the nutrition and lifestyle part now. It's very important, whether you're pregnant or not, to follow a very disciplined nutrition and lifestyle. First, with regards to pregnancy, the prenatal supplements are the first that come into picture. So many of you who have gone through pregnancy and childbirth, the prenatal supplements, when do you supplement something? Only when you're deficient of something, you have to supplement, right? But that is not how it is happening these days, right? So prenatal supplements, see how much you can supplement from your own food. For example, iron and calcium is most required during pregnancy to support your pregnancy and give your fetal a good nourishment. So check with your practitioners, like what kind of lifestyle changes you can bring with food to enhance your nutrition. So one such thing is Balarishtam and Madhulanga Rasayanam. You can take this when on consultation with your Ayurvedic or Siddha practitioner. They don't have any kind of side effects on your system. And oil bath twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, are mandatory to let go of the heat and balance your system. If you've been in our community for a while, you would have understood about avoiding 5 whites, why we focus on that. We avoid maida, white sugar, refined salt, milk, and polished rice. What you supplement or replace is we use Himalayan pink salt. You can milk, if you are able to find A2 milk, it is okay to consume, but a pregnancy doesn't demand consumption of milk on a large basis. For calcium, calcium you can get from a lot of food like ragi. Even betel leaf is very rich in calcium, but a lot of women don't take betel leaf these days. Initially it was for, they usually have betel leaf with the supari, right? It is for the calcium absorption. But nowadays, not many of them are aware. In fact, 2 generations from us, our mothers and grandmothers, have deviated a little bit because of their environment. So when we try to revive them, keep talking to your elders. They will know what they have consumed. They never had any kind of supplements during their pregnancy and birth. They've had about 8 to 10 children each, and they were supplemented only through their lifestyle and food. So a well balanced diet means it will be very impractical to tell don't eat junk, don't eat chat during your pregnancy, because I've taken whatever I wanted to take. Okay, so when we come to the craving part of it, when you get craved is when you are deprived of something. So don't get your body deprived of it, so you will match your cravings. Okay, so a well balanced diet is something that you have on a daily basis, and you can research for a lot of traditional rice varieties. One such variety is Pungar. It is very it's a women friendly rice. It strengthens the uterine system. And health mixes, like you can make your own health mixes and see what suits your body during pregnancy. And mindful eating, as I said, mindful walking and mindful eating, you focus on that. No TV, no mobile phones, nothing. You bite your food, chew your food, consume the juice. That is how our digestive system works. The myth of eating for 2 people, whenever um, whenever a woman is pregnant, especially in India, there is, from the day one, the family wants to uh, give them a lot of love in the form of food, right? You have to eat for 2 people, you have to eat for 2 people, you have to eat for 2 people. One reason I wanted to stay back here itself during both my pregnancies was this. I never wanted to go to India uh, till we had a timeline for me to travel, air travel. So it is there with the Indian system that you have to eat for 2 people. You don't have to eat for 2 people. If you're watching along with your family now, if you're pregnant, see, imagine you have your baby outside of you. You are sitting and eating with your baby. Will the baby eat the same amount of food that you will be eating? Definitely no. What happens is you intake your food, it converts into nutrients. The nutrients are absorbed in the bloodstream, and the blood supplies the nutrients to the fetus. That is how it happens. So you don't have to eat for 2 people, especially in the first and second trimester. You don't need extra calorie intake. What you need is a lot of nutrient dense food, and not in terms of quantity. So we'll we'll see about this cravings in the next slide. Thing is, usually any body, for example, I have a pitta body. We are made up of vata, pitta, and kapha. So each one of us have one thing that is higher. My husband is a kapha body, my son is a kapha body. So when I'm pregnant, the whole dosha of my system will change because of the baby. What is my baby's dosha and my dosha? So we have a lot of changes. That is why we have a lot of food sensitivities and allergies during pregnancy. For example, I've been something has been a very suitable food for me pre-pregnancy might not suit me during pregnancy, or I have an aversion towards some food is because of that. So we'll go to the practices in each trimester. This is a very I put it in very simple words. You don't have to take down any kind of notes. We'll be sharing all the takeaway notes. So just listen with a lot of awareness so that you'll be able to ask any kind of questions you want to. So this is, I've prepared it based on each trimester and the practices and the preparation you have to do. So the practices in each trimester, the first trimester, the preparation is to choose a caregiver. How do you choose a caregiver? In our system, we have a lot of options, right? A neighbor suggests a caregiver. Our mother-in-law will have her friend as a caregiver. Our friend would have birthed with someone. You have your husband's suggestion. So when you are in a lot of confusion, how you choose a caregiver is very important impact on how you birth. So how you choose a caregiver is not based on infrastructure, how far away they are from your place. No. Only one criteria to choose a caregiver. Choose a caregiver whom you can trust, who will empathize with the birthing mother, and who is open to the mother's options for birth. Only these. If you're able to find a caregiver with these qualities, then you go with them. Otherwise, try to find some other caregiver. Okay. So the practice is, if you've discussed this with your ancestors or elders in the family, they never disclose pregnancy until the completion of 12 weeks or the first trimester. We start with a lot of communication these days. The moment you know you are pregnant, whether it is 28 days, 30 days, or within 35 days, we tend to, share the happy. Yes, it is definitely a happy news. But the ancestors, they never shared pregnancy until the completion of first trimester, because there was a lot of uncertainty those days. There were a lot of fetal anomalies, fetal deaths, maternal deaths. So due to these uncertainties, they never shared. But we tend to share, and we are not able to cope up with any kind of deviation from being non-pregnant later, right? So please do not disclose your pregnancy till the end of first trimester. Once you cross that, then that is why they conduct all the the baby shower functions or the rituals on the 5th month of pregnancy. That is somewhere in the second trimester. That is when they actually convey the message that the particular mother is pregnant. Okay. So in the first trimester practice, what is also important is welcoming that soul and thanking the soul for being choosing you both as parent. Pregnancy is not about a woman. It is about both the mother and the father. Both of you are pregnant. The mother is physically also pregnant. Okay. So this is a very beautiful ritual we did in both our pregnancies. Either it is bedtime or early in the morning. The moment you wake up, sit together. It will not take more than 3 to 5 minutes. Sit together and show your gratitude. Thank the soul for choosing you both as parent and welcoming the baby into the family. It's just a ritual between you two. You don't have to have a big extravagant thing. So you can do this on everyday basis till the delivery. And emotional well-being in the first trimester is you connect with the baby by including it in all the daily activities. Like, for example, Amma is going to brush, Amma is having her food, daddy is gone to office, daddy is back, we are praying, we are going to sleep. All these things, though the baby cannot understand, it will feel. The baby can feel what the mother will feel. So if you are happy, your baby will feel happy. It will not understand, but it will feel. In the second trimester, the preparation towards second trimester is about childbirth education and prenatal awareness. Why I'm very, very, very specific about this is you have a lot of information available for you to be able to narrow down and choose the way you birth, or look at your options that you have in your side of the world. This is very important. This is my personal opinion. If Because even in my first pregnancy, elders faded away telling nobody will go for classes for pregnancy. What I did, I had to take all of them along with me. Yes, I took my mother, my mother-in-law, my husband along with me for all the prenatal classes, because I didn't want to have any kind of confusions later. So I had to get them to the classes for them to understand the perspective. When I communicated, it was different. And when the instructor or the trainer communicates things, it is way different. And one very beautiful thing in the second trimester is the quickening when your baby starts giving its first movements. Any mother will be in awe of that, because that is what you've been communicating with your baby from the first trimester. You've been including the baby. You can even have any kind of name for the baby and address the baby by name. You don't have to say this, that, etc. So this is a very beautiful thing when the baby is responding to you. When you are very dull, when you are unsure of anything, you talk to the baby and the baby will definitely communicate back and respond to you. So when I was pregnant with my elder one, it was just me and my husband, and he was working for 12 hours a day. So I used to feel really lonely. I wanted to go meet my mother. I wanted to be with my sister, etc. So one day I told my friend, I'm feeling very, very lonely in my pregnancy. And then he told me, how can you be lonely when you have your baby with you? Then from that moment till today, my elder child, he's been my best friend. He's communicating very well with me from my pregnancy. Whenever I'm low, this is not about after his birth. I'm telling when I was pregnant, he used to respond to every single thing. He used to give me that kind of communication. It is very important to establish that communication with your baby.